afternoon. I'm Ryan Stowe. I'm the Vice President, Distribution Operations here at DTE Energy. And as you all know, we're dealing with a significant ice storm, the largest ice storm in our company's history, and the second largest in over 120 years. As you may know, an ice storm, one of the utility's worst nightmares, really comes from the impact that the ice can have on the system, as well as all the challenges that come along with it in terms of restoring our customers. So in preparation for this storm and as it's played out, we've been able to deploy over 4,000 field workers and linemen working on restoration, along with thousands of other employees supporting the restoration process, from people doing damage assessment, doing public protection and triaging wire downs, and many, many other roles across the company. With all that effort, I'm really proud to say we've been able to restore over 600,000 customers in just 4 days. Now, I know that's a little comfort if you're still without power right now, and I want you to know that I commit to you, along with the thousands of people here at DTE, who are continuing to work around the clock, that this process is not going to stop until we can get every single customer restored. We stand right now at just under 30,000 customers out of power from that initial storm. However, we've continued to see additional outages come in on the system. We've had a total of over 65,000 additional outages since Friday. Includes over 10,000 customers that have been impacted so far from the weather system that's moving through. You know, we do have reports of icing building up, particularly north of M59 right now. I believe that weather watch lasts through about 4 p.m. And hopefully will lessen as the temperatures raise up here a little bit through the remainder of the afternoon. Our restoration process continues right now. We're with all of those line workers, we're working through kind of our primary restoration, so restoring the primary lines, getting large chunks of customers restored. But at the same time, we've also stood up and are running our service restoration process, where we're trying to get individual homes that may have had their service drop taken down, getting those restored as well. So one of the largest operations I've seen in my 20-year career with the company. Just very proud overall with what the resources have been able to do, what all of our employees and our contractors and partners have been able to help get restored so far. Again, we know this is a real challenge for anybody who's been out of power this long, and we're going to continue working until the last customer is restored.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. If anybody has any questions, will they please raise their hand? If you would be so kind to give your name and your outlet, we'd appreciate it. Hank is doing it the old-fashioned way.
I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. We good to go?
Go ahead, Hank.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm sure many applaud the efforts of DTE during the last 5 days, and I know it's been incredibly challenging for the crews that are out there working. The bottom line is, today you have the Attorney General of Michigan, along with many other state lawmakers, saying that this is an epic failure, that DTE needs to change something and do it dramatically. The Attorney General also saying in her statement that people should not have to apply for these minimal credits. They should be given to people automatically. That has been something that she's been fighting for since taking office almost 4.5 years ago. I guess, number one, how do you respond to the local lawmakers saying this is in fact an epic failure? And two, how do you respond directly to the AG saying these credits should be automatic, that consumers should not have to go online to apply for them? Thank you.
Yes. Well, first, let me start with the second part first. We are going to be processing those credits proactively for customers who've been out of power for greater than 96 hours during this storm. We'll process that credit proactively. So we are in process of implementing that now. As far as something needs to change in terms of the impact of the system, first, I would say, you know, the damage and the impact to the system overall, certainly extreme and catastrophic in nature. I'm I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about what happened and how, and we're more than willing and happy to go through that process in sharing the findings and what happened. We certainly want to always look for ways we can improve. And we know if somebody's been out of power for this long that they're certainly not happy about it. We'll say that, you know, the ice sure puts quite a burden on all these trees that are around our area and around our lines and outside of our right of way. And we're going to continue to look for ways to make the system more resilient, able to handle any damage that's coming from those trees.
Okay. KJ, you have your hand raised?
Come up.
Something is here.
Hit the record if you want. Try it.
A reminder to please mute your mics. Thank you. KJ, you have your hand raised? Okay. Okay, we can go back to KJ. Janelle, you have your hand raised?
Hello, my name is Janelle James, and I'm with Bridge, Michigan, and I just want to thank you all for taking the time to speak with us this afternoon. Could you provide a little bit more detail on how consumers can apply to get those credits, and what are the steps that they need to do to ensure that they can receive those credits if they do qualify?
That's right. So we're going to be, normally we'd be asking customers to apply through that process. There's a link through our website to be able to do that, or they could call through the 800 number. But in this case, in this storm, we're going to process that automatically. So we use data from our AMI system to track which meters were out for that longer period of time, and we'll process those credits automatically.
Okay, do we have any further questions?
Hi, this is Kim Russell from Channel 7. We've heard from the Michigan Public Service Commission that there are concerns about the infrastructure getting fixed more permanently because we're expecting more and more severe storms like this in the future. And we're hearing from customers who say, you know what, they want to see infrastructure that can prevent such outages. What do you say to them?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We issued a distribution grid plan back in 21 describing the increasing severity of weather that's out there and the need for hardening and resiliency investments. And it's something we've certainly done. We've spent invested over $1 billion in the past year trying to improve the system, and have also applied for additional investments. So something we want to continue to work with our regulators and all of our stakeholders in this process to continue to harden the system. The system is vast. There's over 1 million poles out there in the system, over 45,000 miles of line. So it's going to take sustained investment for some time to continue to make these improvements.
And why are we a bit behind schedule based on what was predicted Friday for getting power back on? What are the challenges you're facing?
Well, I think we're actually about on the schedule that we had laid out. We had a goal of being 95% restored with those storm, customers from that storm, and we were able to hit that number yesterday. What we have seen, though, are additional outages coming into the system. And some of those challenges, this heavy rain and cold weather and icing conditions that we're seeing, create more outages, and that ice, also makes it tough to travel around a little bit. Crews continue to work, and we continue to restore customers through the day to day.
And the one other thing that I heard from customers is that they want to see better communication. For example, they would hear, power is going to be on in a couple of days and it comes on early right after they buy their ice, or it takes longer, they're getting an extension. What can be done to improve the estimates for when power will be restored?
It's certainly one of the challenges we've seen in this storm that I saw myself out in the field talking with crews and looking at things is we get a lot, we talk about trouble behind trouble where we think we found the main cause of an outage and we end up finding another case of damage behind it. In this case, I was on a circuit a couple days ago and we found 15 different locations of trouble throughout the circuit. So that was 15 different locations where crews had to go make repairs, clear trees, and repair infrastructure. And so it's those cases like that where if you don't catch all of those at the time you're providing the estimate, it certainly makes it a challenge. It's one of the number one things on our list to continue to work on improving, and we're committed to doing that.
Did we lose Ryan?
I am still here if you guys can hear me.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties over here. Are there any additional questions for Ryan that we can answer for you guys today?
Colleen, this is Rob at WWJ. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Appreciate it. Ryan, thanks for your time. Piggybacking on the restoration, would that be 4 days where you would have to push restoration in those times? I know there were some people who had a message Friday that it was going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, blah, blah, blah. But would that happen over a 4-day period?
Typically, no. Typically, what you would see is we'd have an estimate out there. We'd be able to restore, 75, 80% of a circuit and still have a little piece at the end that needs to be restored. And that's when we start to move those estimates around. Really dealing with, with kind of a record number of outage events overall in the system, that creates a little bit of complexity as well, but that's not the typical that we would expect to see.
Gotcha. Thank you. And also, with the 30,000 that remain from Wednesday, Thursday, will they be restored before the ones that go out today, the 10,000 that went out today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really not an either or. We'll work restoration kind of everywhere all at once. We've got some areas that are really kind of cleaned up from those outages before, which is also, kind of where this weather is hitting now. And so where we can and have crews available, we'll continue to work in those areas. But certainly this morning we were dispatching a lot of our oldest outages first and making sure we're making progress on those older events.
Gotcha.
What do you want to say to customers who see
the weekend, obviously,
the Citizens Utility Board's reports?
Were there any assignments?
And they're saying that Michigan ranks near the bottom for reliability, and they just want to see that
out there, not on the air or anywhere, but that was on social media, and I understand where that comes from. But that said that some crews were delayed upwards of 3-4 hours in getting any assignments, and they were sitting basically at a standstill.
I apologize, Rob. We had two questions kind of going at once. I'm sorry. Could you re-ask question again? Apologies.
Sorry. Were there any crews that were kind of held back for assignments or were delayed in getting assignments? Over the weekend, there were some posts that said there were crews sitting for 3-4 hours because they didn't have assignments of where to go.
Yeah, I won't say that it never happens. It's certainly possible, and there can be reasons why. Often when we see that, when you're dealing with the electrical system, you've got to be absolutely sure before you go and start to touch it or start to close in equipment to restore customers. We call that process protection, and that involves coordination with multiple resources. You could have a couple crews in different spots, as well as operators at a substation, and also coordinating with the control room downtown. So sometimes, to be safe, it'll take some time to do all that switching and that coordination. That's most typically the situation when we see somebody waiting for a bit.
Thank you.
We've seen the Citizens Utility Board report that ranked Michigan 46 when it came to its power grid, in large part because of reliability. What do you say to people who say, you know what, this just isn't good enough?
First, there's lots of different ways to measure reliability on the system. From an outage standpoint, overall, we're in the top half, if you will, from a restoration or from an outage standpoint. Lots of metrics you can look at. In any event, we know it's not good enough, especially as we get this increasing severity of weather. Here in just the last couple of years, we've seen some of the most extreme weather that I've seen in my 20-year career. It's something that we're going to have to continue to harden the grid, make it more resilient. That's going to take investment, and that's investment that we want to make.
Janelle, you had another question?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up in regards of the credits. So when you all gather those metrics and automatically apply those credits, is it on a case-by-case basis, or will everyone who applied for the credit receive the same amount off, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it is. It's a flat $35. That is the size of the credit. And in this case, when we apply it, it'll come automatic. So it won't be everybody who applies. It'll be everybody who meets the criteria.
And one last follow-up question, if I could. As the state receives more snow and freezing rain, what are you all doing to prepare for more outages that may come between today and tomorrow? Is there anything different from what you are doing from what you did last week?
Well, just in the fact that right now we've got all of our processes open, mobilized, and running. So there's no kind of ramp up time. We're going to continue to work this restoration play. So we'll continue to have crews out there looking at downed wire and triaging those, as well as our overhead crews working on primary restoration and our service restoration teams working on the individual signals.
And just to follow up on those credits again, just for clarity regarding the credits, are you now committed moving forward to having those credits be automatic, or are we just talking about this one particular incident?
I think it's something we're still working through. This incident or this instance, this storm, we're doing it. I think it's been something we've been working for a bit with the MPSC.
So the Attorney General, though, saying that she is encouraging DTE to make that move to make credits automatic. Is that something that you're agreeing with and working towards?
We're doing that for this storm. That's right.
But for the next storm?
That's a process we're going to continue to work with through our regulatory channels.
Janelle, do you just still have your hand up, or do you have an additional question?
No additional questions at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from the group?
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah, Bill Leitner at Detroit Free Press. What was the maximum number of line crew folks who were assisting DTE from other states? And when was that maximum reached? And what is the number that you have now working to assist DTE from other states?
So I believe we're approaching 2,000 linemen from outside the state or outside of our regular service territory. So there were some that were coming from outstate Michigan to support as well. We've just brought in an additional 100 or so linemen from neighboring states who were kind of really skilled at the service restoration aspect, with helping install the service drop, that very last piece, and so to ramp that process up here as we get towards the end of the storm.
So you have the maximum right now in terms of assistance?
Yeah, we've been, with the exception of the extra 100 or so that are coming in right now, we've been basically at the same level for the last few days.
So the rumor online that you have lost many of them to Oklahoma is inaccurate?
That is inaccurate.
Thank you.